to order at 3 o'clock on the nose. Thomas, would you please provide our invocation today?
Sure. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all your many blessings. Thank you for this great country we live in and this city that we try to support, and help us to make decisions that are guided by our faith in you. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen. We'll stand for the pledges, if you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas pledge. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas. One and indivisible. Well, it's only the second time I've messed it up.
I decided I was just going to follow you this time.
Yeah, I heard somebody out there and they knew what they were doing.
I'm a leader, I'm just a bad one. All right.
You know the old saying, if you're leading and nobody's following, you're just taking the wall.
All right, we have two sets of minutes, one from November the 13th that I'd like to add one little phrase to. On page 3, down there where we're talking about the grant payment, the first year grant payment verified by internal compliance review. That second paragraph there, it says the board clarified that the compliance policy should be changed. The board would approve payments after the compliance audit was made. I think it should say, just to be clear, compliance audit by city staff, because that's what we're talking about. So I'd like to change that in the minutes. And in the joint meeting, this has already been approved by the city, but I want to make sure that, I always like the fact that if you go back and read these, that you know exactly what happened. And on that first page of the November 18th minutes, that last paragraph down towards the bottom, it says Council Member Stoker stated that no one takes advantage of the grants. Well, if we leave it that way, then I think he's saying there's no grants being made. Well, I mean, we've got 3 of them that we're talking about today that we're making payments on. So what he was talking about, as I recall, was the facade and infrastructure grants. It appears to him that we're not doing very many of those, if any. So I'd like to add that phrase. And I know that if we do that, then it's got to go back to the council, but I don't think they'll have a problem with that, approving it with that modification. So with those two changes, does anybody else have anything that they would like to modify?
Well, on that, I don't even think that you can say no one. I mean,
Yeah, but I think that's what he said.
Well, but I know, but if you change it, I mean, could it just say that few people are taking? I mean, what are we going to change it? Are we going to try to change it?
Well,
or strike it, or what?
Well, my recommendation would be that Council Member Stoker stated that no one takes advantage of the facade and infrastructure grants, because I think that's what he said. And if we were going to follow up on that, that's what we'd follow up on with him. So,
Okay.
I think that's correct.
yeah. Does anybody else have any other recommendations? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve both minutes with both of those changes.
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second to approve both of these minutes as corrected. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Citizen comments on non-agenda items. Any member of the public may address the LDC board regarding any of its agenda items before or during the consideration of the item. Are there any citizen comments on non-agenda items? Seeing none and hearing none, we'll move on to contractors' reports. Tom, Economic Development Department.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
So I left a meeting at 2:30 at Wadley and Big Spring in Midland and made it here on time. So if you see anyone with law enforcement come in, I've been here since 2 o'clock. So you'll find my report after the minutes. The first few pages are projects. There's really not much changed on that other than we've got a new project we added this morning. Project Matador, which is not on here yet. It'll be on next month's. I want to thank Aaron Smith and some members of his staff who joined us in that meeting last minute to speak with what could be a significant capital investment project. Going through our packet, moving on after the projects, you'll see the October economic indicators in there. Little growth on labor force, things of that nature. Had a sales and use tax rebate was down just a little bit, but it's up healthy for the year. And then you'll see the remaining numbers. And then following that, we get into workforce development activities. You'll see those. Monica's been doing a good job getting around, talking to the various partners in that and discussing future programs moving forward with regards to apprenticeship and things of that nature. And then following her report, you'll see business retention and expansion. And I'm sure y'all have had time to read through that. But I will mention on that, there's been some discussions, and I've met with my team. As y'all know, last year you extended the infrastructure and facade grant program from downtown all the way down. You're calling it Tier 3, all the way down to I-20 in Grant, which is, what should be a good entryway into the community. Unfortunately, we haven't treated it as such through the years, and so we have started putting together names and visits and things. MJ was working on that today. She's been working on it now for probably about a week and a half. We're gonna target that area for the first quarter of 26 to make BR&E visits. To tell them about the various programs we have where there may be some money to assist them and hopefully fix up businesses specifically in that area as we head south to I-20. And then beyond that, unless you have any questions, I've got some information to give y'all. You've asked me some questions of late. This first item is I put together, I didn't provide references. A lot of it I've just simply got off ChatGPT. But it is return on investment for data centers. Now this looks at it kind of from the investor standpoint, but I brought that for y'all to take with you. I've also got that where I can send it to you in an email if you would like me to. The next item I'm going to hand out to you is depreciation of AI data centers related to Texas, as best as we can calculate that. And so I'll hand these around to you. Killed some trees. And then the final item is tax treatment of tax treatment of data stored in the cloud. And it would be great late night reading, put you right to sleep. If y'all could take that and hand it around, and I'll take any extras you have. I know y'all have been asking about that. We are in multiple deep conversations with a couple of data center projects. I know that I've been approached, well, what are they gonna ask for? We don't know what they're gonna ask for. Because until a hyperscaler is signed, the PPAs are signed, everything in between, they don't know the total investment of the project. Now, I will tell you, the project we met with today was actually the hyperscaler. And so it's the first time we've had a face-to-face with a hyperscaler in our office. But I know I'm just now handing those out, so you probably don't have time to have any questions. But if you come up with any, I'm happy to take your call. I'm happy to meet with you, try to answer what I know. We've learned a lot about data centers in the last 18 months. So we feel like we know a little bit about what we're talking about. I will tell you through technology and other efficiencies, their programs change fairly regularly. I think I've mentioned some of those changing trends. They use a lot less water than they used to. They're becoming the greater density on the site. Some of them are actually going to multiple stories, 2-story data centers, which they used to not. Their employment is actually increasing. When I'm talking to projects today, instead of 35 employees, a similar size project might be 50. So it's not substantial, but it's growing. They use the term refresh with regards to their servers and racks. They refresh those completely on the inside every 3 to 5 years. In other words, they bring in new stuff. Obviously, that affects sales taxes for a community. I mentioned the state program before with the state comptroller's office. It's on that sales tax sheet that mentions that. They do a deal where they waive the state's portion of the sales tax depending on the size of the project. If it's over a certain size, they'll do it for up to 15 years. Under that size, they'll do it for 10 years. The local sales tax is still on the books. That would be up to the local taxing entity, community, as to whether they wanted to work out a program, perhaps through a 380 agreement or something like that. And so, a lot of information. I know it's all at you at once. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any. I'm certainly going to be meeting with you here again in a little bit. Yes, ma'am.
Just the only thing I want to be sure I understand is I've been told by several people that have cloud storage that you can have cloud storage anywhere. I mean, if it's in Odessa, that doesn't mean the cloud storage is in Odessa. And so it could be, but it could be any place else. So just as a continued question and follow-up, it would be important to us on an agreement like this that they would specify that the cloud storage would be in our area.
I'll make a note of that.
And that's the sum total of what I know about the cloud storage.
Well, you're ahead of most people. Any other questions?
I really appreciated this report, and I was really it was really nice to see the outcome of your visits. That helped me a lot. And I just want to thank you for the time to put that together, because I had no idea that so many people walked into the chamber with projects to talk to you. And anyway, I just wanted to thank you for that detail.
Well, we appreciate it. It's a good team, and I will say, and I've got to give kudos to current media. Obviously, the word's getting out there because the traffic on downtown grants has increased. We're getting people walk in. Now, they're not all turning in grants, but they're coming in asking about it. And so that traffic is certainly, walk-in traffic has increased for both those programs.
Great.
And there's just one more follow-up that I wanted to ask about, because I get asked about it almost every time I see him. Is there any updates on the refrigerated storage, warehouse storage? Is anything happening on that?
I would tell you, but no, I'm kidding. I was going to say I'd have to kill you, but
me.
I didn't want to carry it that far. Actually, the meeting I was just in,
The what?
the meeting I was just in Midland dealt with that. Had a Zoom call yesterday with a large 3PL logistics company that has a cold storage program. What we're running into on that is the demand. I've now had 3 different cold storage companies tell me that they need that first customer they would require them to be a minimum of 10,000 pallets, and that turns over 8 times a year. And so yesterday in my conversation, I had a Zoom call with the gentleman. I said, what does that look like as far as a company? And he said that would probably be a large food manufacturing, food processing company. and the trucks may be going out nationwide logistically to distribute products for that one company. And so we've not identified that demand yet, but we're looking at all our options on moving forward and how we can do that. Because there is cold storage here locally, but they're specifically like U.S. Foods and Cisco. They have their specific customers, typically restaurants, convenience stores. And then there's cold storage with our beverage distributors, Glacier, Standard Sales, those folks. But as far as the kind of multi-tenant facility that becomes the logistics distribution vendor for manufacturers, right now we haven't identified the demand for it. So, but we keep looking. We're having conversations weekly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Anything else for Tom? Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
In your board package, you have current media partners, the Black Chamber, the SBDC at UTPB, and Motran. Unless you have any questions on those, we'll go to Kaylee at the financials, or is it Kayla?
We tricked you. We gotta keep
It's
you guessing.
Kayla.
I know.
It was Kaylee last time. You get me this time. I apologize for sending it out twice. Whenever I went back to write the summary last night, I realized that I had left one of my formulas off and it didn't feed, so I apologize for that. But you have the correct one either in front of you or in your last email. The first thing I wanted to address is we did change the reporting style up a little bit on the income statement to make it more reflective of a governmental type income statement. The balance sheet has not changed though. The balance sheet is exactly what we've had. Kaylee and I went through and made sure we captured as many of our short-term and long-term commitments as we can. We went back through files to catch anything that may have been left off. We're still making sure we get that done, but I believe we're there. You will notice the unreserved fund balance is the $17 million, which is on track to finish out the year at the $31 million as previously anticipated in the budget. You can see that difference if you look at the statement of revenues and change in fund balance. This is the report that got changed a little bit. We took the budget, your budget that was set at the beginning of the year. We're taking your actuals and we're taking your year-to-date. Of course, we're in the very first month, so those numbers are the same. We're going to show you remaining budget, but the one thing we did add is at the very end of this statement, you will see a graph that shows the change in fund balance. From the government side, that's what we're most concerned with. And when you look at this change in fund balance, you will see that the month of October itself shows an increase of fund balance of $679,000. So how that translates is simply we had $679,000 more in revenue than we had in expenditures. Whenever you go down and you look at your restricted and reserved funds, that's how you can tie it back directly to the balance sheet. So I did two columns. The first one shows the budget based. We always want to keep that there because we like to show what we were anticipating this year. You will notice that when you get to October 2025, the beginning fund balance is different than the budget. That's very common because when the budget is done, we're not finished with our fiscal year. So there's changes. There's always going to be changes there. And as you know, we're working on finishing up our 24-year audit, so you are going to see some changes from that. I know one of them, and I'll point that out in just a second. This will change a little bit also as we close fiscal year 25. Nothing dramatic, but you will see that fluctuating, and I'll make sure you are aware of that as it does. If you look towards the bottom, though, you will see that for October, our estimated ending fund balance is $15 million. So how does that tie back to the balance sheet? We tie that back by taking our encumbrances from our operating, because those would not be included in a balance sheet statement. We take those encumbrances and we subtract those from the fund balance, and we get the 15 million. That 2.3 that you see under encumbrances from operating is the difference. So that ties out. Another thing I would like to point out is if you take that estimated ending available fund balance of 15 million, and you add back in the revenue we have not earned yet, that we've not received yet, it ties back to the $31 million that was anticipated as your ending fund balance in the budget. So this is tracking with your anticipation from the budget. This is tracking with what y'all requested. So everything is going as planned so far as this goes. The one difference you'll see that stands out, and it's not significant, it's just something we'll watch for in the budget next year, is the insurance rates did apparently go up. Because we budgeted 19 million and it came in at 19,000 and it came in at 25,000. That's really the only difference we've seen so far. When I was talking about, you'll see a little bit of difference again in fund balance. On the liabilities on the balance sheet, you will see there's a due to, due from, and an accounts payable. Those are both adjustments that were found in the 24-year audit that I'm getting cleared out. They just hadn't been cleared out at the time of this balance sheet, and I don't ever want to give you something that doesn't tie back exactly. So those have cleared out. As of they'll be cleared out for next month. I just don't ever want to show you what doesn't tie back exactly. Yes, ma'am.
I've got a couple of questions, and I'm
Please.
sorry I didn't get to call you and ask you.
No,
before
that's
we got
okay.
here.
Thank you.
On the sales tax receivable on the balance sheet, that
Yes.
111,993, is that a piece of something left over? Because that's much less than what a month would be.
That is interest receivable.
Am I on the wrong line?
I think so. That
Oh, I am.
2.4 is the interest.
Interest receivable.
I'm sorry, the 2.4 is the sales tax receivable. I think that's more what you would anticipate it to be.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I guess I need glasses.
Oh, I need like different pairs of glasses for what distance I'm looking.
And on the statement of revenues, expenditures, and change in fund balance.
Yes, ma'am.
In October, do we bill the city monthly or quarterly?
So that is monthly. The month of October is very difficult for the finance team because we're closing out the month before. So that will get caught up. We have those internal fees. We have to change all of our automatic journal entries and stuff. That actually got done at the beginning of November. I just haven't been able to grab it this one yet.
Okay, so this is really on a cash basis, not an accrual, right? Or kind of both?
Kind of both. So governmental accounting is cash basis. So that's the translation that was very hard for me whenever I started helping with these financials. Governmental's cash. However, that's the extra step we did in the fund balance towards the bottom, is I try to include all of those encumbrances in that change in fund balance. That way you always had an accrual estimate down there as well. Because that will include your long-term and short-term commitments. That'll include your operating and anything that you set aside in anticipation of projects. So we got a little bit of a modified accrual down at the bottom.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay. So in the next month, there will probably be 2 months of that.
And I will make sure and explain that to you when you see it.
Okay, so on our contractors, each of those, we paid 3 months of it, and this is October, which is the first month of our fiscal year. So is this the last 3 months, or do we pay them 3 months? Do we pay them in advance?
We pay in advance. And agreement, those were due in October, and that's done through AP, so that's a little bit easier to manipulate and get that done.
Okay, I think that was it. Thank you for correcting me on
No,
the
thank you.
interest receivable.
Well, I had to count my lines, so don't worry.
I thought that said sales tax, and I thought, did we have a little piece hanging out somewhere?
Rather than
I'm
glasses,
still
what if
seeing
I
that on
bought
the
you a
tax,
ruler?
the sales tax
Yeah.
receivable line.
A
Are you?
ruler would help.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
What'd you say?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
I think her
6.
question was correct, and it's not interest.
It is interest.
The 2.4?
2.4 is interest. The 2.4 is interest, yes.
I thought you said the
I mean, I'm sorry, the
2.4
2.4
was
is
sales
sales
tax.
tax.
Yes.
Is sales tax. The 111 is interest.
Interest, correct.
Yes, yes.
And the question was about the 2.4 sales tax?
Well, it wasn't, because I looked across here on the wrong line with my
okay.
big question mark, and I thought I was looking at sales tax receivable, and it was 111,000.
I got you.
So
Okay.
that could
I had
only
to
be
count my
a
lines. That's
piece of a past one.
Okay.
And that,
But
that
it's
will
not
change in the-
anything, forget that question.
Okay.
One other little thing. Okay, on the changes in the reserve fund balance,
Yes.
okay, those first two,
Which page are you looking at, the balance sheet? Oh, those, thank you, yes, ma'am.
yeah. So, Prodigy Imaging and E&L Home Builders, it says the contract expired.
So they were just not going to draw on those funds unless, and if they wanted to, we'd have to go back out with a new contract.
Okay, so it's kind of like the museum. I mean, it just expired.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have taken those now off of our commitments by doing it this way. Okay,
Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
okay, that's it.
That's it? Well,
Oh,
thank
wait a
you for
minute.
that.
No, I
Oh,
did
one
have
more.
I was gonna say, I know I've got one more little mark here. Okay, on the investment summary,
Yes, ma'am.
the cash that's not transferred,
It is transferred now.
okay, and that was a combination of what?
Several, so, and Mr. Blackstone was actually the one who got this on my radar. What happens is, whenever we pay, the city pays bills on ODC's behalf, it comes out of our cash account. And then whenever we're doing our true-ups, we're supposed to be balancing those cash pools, and we weren't. So those are being done now. That money has been transferred again. It's one of those things that was transferred in November, and I just didn't want to show it reflected what I couldn't tie back to the balance sheet that I couldn't prove to you, but that has been transferred now.
So what is that $16 million? What does that represent in terms of, is that a lot of, I mean, our expenditures,
I
our
bet it's a-
operating expenditures are only 2 million.
It's a long time of going back. It hadn't been done in a very long time, the cash transfer.
Multiple months.
Multiple, probably over a
Years.
year.
Years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that
if
gonna
we-
show up on your audit as an exception?
No, they don't really care about that.
Really?
I mean, they care about that in the fact that we have to make sure we've accounted for it. But it's accounted for in our pools as it's reflected, because we have a line item that is a due to, due from, that reflects this amount. So it is documented on our balance sheet, and so that's what makes it.
So when
not-
does the
So-
city show the revenue? Or the,
Or reduce their expenses for the repayment.
what year is
of
that gonna
this.
show up in, on the
So
city's
the
audit?
expenses won't be reduced, because whenever it's coded as an ODC expense, so it's not an expense that hits the city side. It's just the cash wasn't, we have pooled cash, it's kinda like a due to, due from, but it's a pooled cash. All the money comes out, every check we write comes out of the main operating fund. Then we have pools that are like the due to, due from, set up for each fund. We have to do transfers between those funds to balance out the cash. Where ODC is different from the city, when we have our other funds, those all are probably all in the same accounts, right? They're same investment, the tax pool and all that. ODC's in their own tax pool, so there is a physical transaction done from ODC's bank to the city's bank. And so I can't record that until we make that actual transaction.
And I think what I'm hearing you say, when you say that they don't, the auditors basically doesn't care about that, is because they're looking at the city of Odessa inclusive of ODC, and as long as the total picture is correct, the internal picture, if there's some transfers that hadn't been made, they might note it, but it's not a,
As long as they see that we have marked the transfer in our due to, due froms, that's what they care about, that it's acknowledged. That the liability is acknowledged on ODC and the asset, the receivables noted on the Odessa side.
So this $16 million reduction of cash, because we owe it to the city, once we transfer that, that's the credit to cash. What's the debit? Because I don't see a liability on here.
It's a due from that is rolled up into, so you'll notice on the government pools where it says 95 million, and I can actually send you the trial balance and you'll see it. You'll see it as soon as I send it to you. That governmental pools fund, the actual balance on the trial balance is that 95.
Oh, so
Whenever-
it's already been, it's
Yes, ma'am.
actually already been deducted.
Yes,
is
ma'am.
what
And
you're
then
saying.
that pooled cash, the due from that I've been speaking of, has that credit of 16 million. So it's already reflective in everything in your balance sheet, in your fund balance and all that. It rolls up to that 79, which ties back to your balance
Which is
sheet.
back here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So all the stuff that was paid and all that's already washed through here?
Yes, ma'am.
It's
The net
just-
effect has already happened. It's just cash to cash. That hasn't happened.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
all right.
And I'm happy to send you that trial balance. You'll see it as soon as I send it to you.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I
Okay.
couldn't find it on the balance sheet, but it's because it's already been recorded on the
Yes,
balance
ma'am.
sheet.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions for Kayla? Thank you.
Okay, I have one more issue I'd like to bring
Okay.
up if I may.
All right.
And I'm gonna try to get everything just right. So please correct me at any point if I say something in error. Last month, Kaylee brought to the board our concern about having to send Odessa College's payment to, the third party. She made a valid argument why that was not a good idea. Y'all agreed. And we moved forward with that. In that conversation, there was a stipulation requested by the board that any payment on an agreement that was reviewed internally come back to the board for a final approval for payment. This has caused some issues already. We had, on the day that we had that meeting, we had ready for payment a Walkman invoice, $800,000. I have that number in here. Due to that decision, that payment was held to this meeting, and Kaylee's bringing it to y'all for approval today. In addition, the day that this agenda, the day after we could submit an item to this agenda, we had another payment request from Walkman for like $145,000. Essentially about $1 million out there waiting for payment. The first payment is gonna take a month to get to them. The second payment will now take a month to get to them. We have had calls, our council members are concerned about this delay in payment. So based on their concerns and city management's encouragement, we would like for you to reconsider that directive on if an agreement has been reviewed and the documents have been reviewed internally, we would like to ask you to reconsider your request for the payment to come to the board for a final approval. We would like to ask that the approval of the internal review and the board president be sufficient to send the payment out to avoid payments taking a month. It might not take a month, but in this case, both of them will have taken a month.
I don't have a problem with
How's that different than what we were doing to other contractors?
So what we were doing previously, it was two-part. If they had to go off to the third-party auditor, that was taking a long time. And that was what we were trying to avoid from OC. Now, the payments that didn't have to go to the third-party auditor, it would be reviewed internally. Mr. Boutin would approve it, and we'd cut the check, and it didn't come back for approval. We're now putting that second layer of approval in it.
So let's make sure everybody understands, and particularly Jefferson being kind of first meeting here. When we have a grant that's been approved for jobs creation, capital investment, whatnot, the typical jobs creation and capital investment type of a grant, those before those payments are made, we have had Whitley Penn perform an audit to determine whether those jobs were indeed created, or are they hitting the, are they demonstrating that the payroll has actually been made, or Are they providing invoices associated with the capital investment? So that process will not change. It doesn't change. When we do like an infrastructure grant for particular, in this particular case, road building, mostly some utilities, but mostly road building for Wakaman in this particular case, those, we approve the funds. And then what was happening was that the finance department basically was they were getting submitted invoices for reimbursement, is what it amounts to. They were confirming that those invoices were proper, and once they did that, then they were making they'd go ahead and make the payments to reimburse those invoices. What we talked about last time here appears to have created an unnecessary delay in coming back to the board and the finance department saying, we looked at all the invoices, they're correct, and we want to pay them. That's what's changed.
So what's the process? You look at the invoices to be sure we've got an invoice. I know that somebody asked this before. How does the inspection fit in this? That who tells you that, yeah, this was all done?
So I come at it from like a standard grant background. If it was just like a grant we received from the government, I look at it what the government would want from us, and I take it from that standpoint. So to answer your question, we would have the agreement in hand, because every agreement's different. Just like with every grant's different. We read the agreement, make sure we understand the agreement. We have our spreadsheet that says what we're agreed to pay, what we've paid out, those things. We take that and we look at the invoices, make sure they tie back to what the grant activity is, and they're within the guidelines, and then we pay it.
But and I understand that
Okay, I'm sorry.
process, but when you get that invoice, how are you assured? You're checking to be sure that it all matches, but how are you, has somebody inspected the project? I think Ronnie
I brought
asked
it up,
this
yeah.
question.
That's a good
And
question.
Aaron's here now, he's the new city manager. Aaron, this is something we talked about, whether somebody wanted to look at this, and our concern was they're billing for services that aren't finished, or they want their money back before they're actually done. And we've seen this before, not necessarily with something going on right now, but, so what we would like is there's somebody from the city and an inspector, or somebody, when they present her with a bill, she says, this is all good, they can just, we don't wanna get nitpicky, but we wanna be sure.
So
This
on
drainage ditch
those-
is in, this roadway is built, this is all done.
The payment request will always have, or should always have, an inspection.
Yeah.
So for instance, if we hired a third-party inspector, they'll go out and they will inspect the work and see that it's done, and they will sign off.
Okay.
Same thing happens on pay request, call it a pay request. For instance, I see those all the time. I'll have a Fadry Road project or a Yukon Road project, and the inspector will actually sign off on it. And that's what I always look for, to
Yes, sir.
see that that has been inspected and they agree that they have done what they have said they will do.
So nobody from the city goes and inspects it like they do my customer who's building a new building?
We do have city inspector as well.
Because we can't get those businesses open until y'all bless that deal.
Yeah, we have third parties sometimes
just-
that do that, but we also have inspectors in-house that do that.
Because the customer can have their builder inspect it and everything's fine, and then we have city zoning or whoever from city has to bless it. I had one last week, we couldn't get it open because we couldn't get the occupancy certification because we hadn't resurveyed the sewer line to show where the valves were in the sewer, so the city would not let them open until that
So,
was done.
let's talk about
So-
that for
so
a
my
minute.
question
Let's-
is-
no, hold
so
on.
my
We need-
question
we
is,
need-
when
we
y'all
need
are
to
doing
go- I need to answer the questions as they come. I need to know which one that is. I need to know which
Well, that
business
don't
it
need to
is.
be mentioned
Well,
in
it
here.
does
I'll tell you
because-
later.
No,
because-
it does need to be mentioned.
Because-
It needs to be mentioned, because if we're talking about the same thing, that was a complete misinformation from the contractor who was not being forthcoming with their owner.
Okay.
So we need to know that.
My question is, that's when y'all do infrastructure, do y'all have the same level of city inspection So we're not paying a third party out here to build a new intersection, and then it doesn't meet your guidelines, and we've already sent the money out. I think
Right,
that's what
so-
we're worried about up
So
here.
in that situation, yes, we have an inspector. We do have an inspector. In this particular case, I don't know, this was a little bit before my time.
Yes.
But we do sometimes hire third party, an engineer, for instance, an engineer's third party that is separate from that person that's actually constructing the project. So let's say, just as an example, you might have, you could have an inspector like, a contractor like Jones Brothers building it, and then LCA is working for us to inspect it. And then that third party could sign off on it saying that everything has been, is good to go, they have met the criteria, they have built what was designed. 100% that can happen, or our folks can do it as well. In this particular case, I don't know who the inspector was on this one. I would need to review that one.
Okay,
but-
let me ask, hold on just a second, John. I'll let you do that. I just want to make sure we're not getting too far off base here. If we have an invoice that comes from Wackerman, for instance, and they want to get reimbursed, in that documentation, is there some type of a
Checklist or a
well, is there
sign-off.
something in there that says somebody looked at this project and this work was done? It's in that paperwork.
Should be in it should be in a pay request, which is typically on all engineered, all engineered projects will have a pay request made.
And on this particular project, Walkerman has hired us
Yeah,
to verify Jones Brothers. We work with the city inspector. The city inspector's out there on a daily routine basis. Then LCA gets the pay request from Jones Brothers. We verify with the city inspector and just say, are you comfortable with this? They do all this. We verify that. Then we sign it, authorizing it to be payment. It goes to Walkerman. Walkerman does their stuff and then sends it to the city. So it's been,
but that information is included in the pay request that's coming to the finance.
100%.
Then
That was the question.
that's the
Yeah,
question.
that's really all we're trying to get
And it
to.
is based on the contract amount that the bid for the project was, and it's got
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
line items
Yeah.
of, sometimes 1,000 feet of curb and gutter's been done this month. And so you pay by the deals, but
Yeah.
all of that is documented and in the paperwork that
So,
goes to
so,
the
so
city.
to kind of bring everybody back,
Right.
that it sounds to me like that what we're seeing is, if we go back to the old procedure, then there's information inside the pay request that provides, evidence that the project,
project was
that work was done. And then they're making sure, from a financial perspective, does this match up with what was agreed to be paid and all that kind of stuff? And that,
And it doesn't add anything for us to look at it again,
No.
because we don't
No.
know anything
Yeah.
about it, so.
Unless we gotta go out and look at it.
It needs to meet
I don't
city
wanna do that.
specs, since we're doing infrastructure.
Yeah.
That was my main question.
Or and sometimes it's a third party, and in this case, it was a third party, it was Landgraf.
Yeah, no, that's fine, but that was, all this too was, just to be clear, it was before your time too, and there was no good answer to, do we finish this, or are we just arbitrarily paying bills?
Oh, yeah, well, no,
No, I
in
mean,
no
we-
way,
you know.
again, the pay requests come in, we absolutely look for that, that confirmation that they have built what was designed.
Yeah, good, and we're good with that. I
So,
am.
so I would move that we take the,
Coming back to us.
yeah, that we take the part of the resolution that says it has to come back to us for a final approval. We delete that. I mean, we should have the confidence now that if the city has paid it, that they've gone through all of these steps, and we really didn't know what the process was, so.
And again, the board president is required to sign those pay authorizations before we pay them. We have some for him, for Mr. Razan to sign his last ones, I guess. We have some
So
of those.
we're all
Yeah,
relieved
that's
of the
good.
responsibility. You guys,
We're
trying to clean it up before we let him go.
Well, thank you. Anything else we can throw in there? Let's do it.
Yeah, he's been partying a lot though, you better keep an eye on him.
Well, he just needs to make sure you
So-
get the right
I have a
people.
motion.
Is that's the motion?
Second.
The motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
Thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
'Cause
And
the
notify
int-
council we've done that.
Yes, sir.
Last time I did have a clue. Was this finished?
Mr. Moss just left.
Nobody knew.
Nobody knew.
Nobody knew.
Thank you.
How many times you seen that?
Okay,
Yeah, I
let's
was-
talk about,
Well, you know, you're in the
well,
fire business.
I'm not gonna suspend the rules, but I want a clarification. We have an item down here, number 9, that we were gonna consider. Is that moot at this point, that we don't have to consider number 9?
Per that
Based-
email, it's the same effect that we
It
just
did-
took.
Huh?
Per that email that came asking about the,
Yeah, I don't think we have to do it.
Yeah,
Delaying
yeah, it
payments.
looks like to me that we superseded
We've
the need.
eliminated that.
Okay, because I just want to make sure I follow the agenda properly. Okay.
So Walkman is approved
Yeah,
to be paid.
right. Well, it depends
I
on what they,
mean-
it depends on what they do.
Doesn't come through here.
Okay. All right, so let's go to the committee and officer reports. The Odessa Partnership did meet, meeting quarterly, and they're gonna likely meet the second Monday. I think the next meeting would be in March, so every quarter, the second Monday at lunchtime. Thought we had a really good meeting, and I think what's coming out of there more than anything else is this public information officer group that's coming together to meet, is trying to formulate some best practices with regard to how do they convey accurate information out to our citizens, particularly voters, so that voters can make good decisions with regard to bond issues, for instance, understanding what their representatives are doing on these taxing entities collectively, to maybe sometimes they're doing certificates of obligation, they're making other decisions and whatnot. I think that's a really good thing. The better informed our citizens are, the more likely they are to vote responsibly, which is what we want them to do, and hopefully our community will progress in the right direction. So that's really the majority of the content that came out of the Odessa Partnership meeting. And I'm happy that we're meeting, that it will be meeting on a quarterly basis
Is
from
it
now
the
on.
first month of the quarter or the last month of the quarter?
March, it's the last month
So
of the
the
quarter,
last
yeah.
month of the
So
quarter.
it'll be March the 9th is my recollection, is the second Monday in March. Advertising, did they have a advertising
We didn't have a
meeting?
meeting, we'll have one in, January.
All right. Compliance, anything from compliance, Peggy, that you want to
No,
report?
we haven't had a compliance meeting. We were gonna have one next week, but that got canceled because all the information wasn't in yet, so it
Okay.
got postponed till January.
Investment review, we met last month and reported last month. Industrial Water Task Force, I know you had your first meeting, and
We've
and
had
I
our
think
second
Ronnie,
meeting,
you've
yeah.
had a second, okay, so any new developments?
Well,
Did you solve all
Just
the world
because-
problems at that meeting?
yeah,
or-
yeah.
And she got rid of me and Tim.
But we can't give you the answers because, this is secret stuff. What we were tasked to do was to be proactive in finding water resources for economic development purposes. And at least identifying them, creating a list of them, what they are, how they're functioning right now, estimates of cost to make them functional. And so we have a great committee, a non-ODC committee, because the three of, Ronnie seems to know quite a bit about it, but I'm the first to tell you that I'm learning every meeting. So John Landgraf and Gary Hayner and Tommy Irvin and I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Besides the three of us. And we have identified and talked with a couple of different people that there's a strong potential that they're gonna have water available. Now, what we do about that if we don't have immediate demand for it is gonna be the next question that we're gonna have to talk about, because we have found several things that we could tie up with some sort of money and get a first right of refusal. If we're not ready to buy or to pay right now, then we want to, when the opportunity comes up, we want to talk to everybody about having some sort of, paying for a right, a first right of refusal. We're not thinking that ODC wants to own water rights and, or own a facility. That's not what we're thinking. What we decided to do was to get adequate information that would allow Tom and other people to be able to, and the city council to know that there are resources of water here and what it takes to get them. So kind of putting all the information together. There's a couple of pretty good opportunities that are potential, and then we're talking to another couple of people that may be. So, it's going to be kind of an exploratory thing, and we're exploring and finding something that we really don't have anybody. I mean, we know every deal that comes needs water, but there's not a deal on the table right now for a certain amount of water. So I don't know. John, you're on that committee. Is there anything else that?
I think you summed that up perfectly.
Okay. So we're gonna keep on, Ronnie and Tim and I, and then the other three, and sort of really get specific information on several opportunities that we've been made aware of. And then we'll have to decide just in the future what we want to do with those opportunities. And maybe the city council has to decide, that they may be interested in having money set aside for water. But right now, we're doing all the research and knowing what there is available, because we all know in most of these economic development deals, the land is an issue, the energy is an issue, but not so much because we have all the natural gas, but the water is an issue. And so that's why we were tasked with this, and there's not really a certain thing that we're doing right now except trying to find out what's available to come to you all.
Excellent.
Okay?
Any questions? Thanks, Peggy, for your report. Item number 8, Kaylee. Consider a resolution affirming project compliance and approving payment for Odessa College.
So this item will need to be tabled. Odessa College is still in the process of procuring all of the documents for their investment to demonstrate that they've met it. The secondary round of information they submitted only reflected a portion of it, and so they thought because they were submitting more than what they were asking for that was sufficient to the agreement, but it does stipulate that we have to verify the full 39 million. So they asked for a little bit of time just because it's a lot of documentation to gather. So that's where we're at.
Is this another item that would be unnecessary to come to the
Number 10.
board that could be,
Oh.
could we fold it under that resolution that we just passed?
Sounds like a contract stipulation as part of their contract. Is that what-
Right.
They were supposed to
Yeah, we're
have
supposed
so
to
many
modify.
employees, weren't they?
It was
Just-
So
the-
many
it was the
students?
It was the students.
Yes, so
Students.
they're still giving us that data. I think what Jefferson is asking is if it needs to come back to the board once they've given me the documentation and I verified everything.
Now, how is this different than when we have Whitley Penn go out and do the audit? Why is this different?
It was supposed to be faster.
It's simpler.
It's simpler. It
So
doesn't.
we just picked that we could do it this way?
Yes, because there's no payroll requirements or anything like that
Just
to
number
verify.
of
Just number of students and verification of investment. Mhm.
And that's the portion that's lacking is the investment dollars?
Mhm.
It still requires additional documentation?
Correct.
Okay.
So, we don't have to necessarily table this, we could just take no action, right? I mean, if we're not
Yeah.
gonna do anything
It
anyway.
they haven't given us anything to
Right.
do yet, right?
Correct. If you don't want me to come back a third time to give you the information, then it can be no action. If you want me to come back and tell you and show you how they've met the requirements, it will need to be tabled.
Well, I guess that's what I'm getting to.
I don't think we wanna give up the right to know
Okay.
that they've met it, we just don't wanna hold the process up. Is that right?
I was just looking back at our minutes, that's what we agreed to.
So we could, I will throw an idea out there. If you look in your packet, you'll probably see what we had prepared to bring to you for items number 9 and 10 for Welcome In and ICA. It's basically a summary report showing that they did meet the requirements that we asked for. So for our internally reviewed agreements, I could, if you don't want to hold up payment, we can make sure that it's in compliance. Mr. Boutan will sign off on it, and I can bring a report similar to the one in your packet for those to show you that those agreements have met their requirements and been paid out accordingly. It's an idea.
I think that would work, because I'm somewhat confused on what we just did versus what we're considering now. It seems like it's the same thing. And but it seems like we're still asking to make sure that we can verify that it occurred, but it doesn't stop the process of payments if they've actually done what they needed to do.
Well, we're not holding up the process. They're holding up the process because they hadn't got what was required to get us, so we can give them the money.
Yeah, and that's not the point I was making. I was just saying to the conversation earlier about, hey, there was we added an extra step that we didn't need to add.
And these resolutions were all done after last month's meeting, so
Right.
pieces of it are not really germane now.
Right.
So if you're interested, I can bring a report after we internally review and pay things out, so you're in the know and you can see those requirements have been met. And if not, then that's okay too. Just let me know what you would prefer.
I think having the reports is important to us, so we can see it, lay eyes on it ourselves.
Okay.
Lonnie, you looked to me like you had a
Well,
question.
I was looking at you like, I'm content with letting you look at it,
Yeah,
like we just
yeah.
agreed on the other two, just
Okay.
go that way.
Okay.
So will
I'm
we
content
still
with that.
have these resolutions after she's paid it? I mean, these will go away, right?
Correct. Yes, the resolution was only in place to allow me to pay the instrument.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and once the whole thing has been, like we talked about site inspection, this is done, this is paid for, I mean, the work is done, it's okay to pay them. And obviously you see it, you know, you're in the county, all you see is the invoice, you don't know whether it's done or not. And that was the point, David said that, I mean,
So you'll go ahead and do, after the inspection, and make payments, and at the next ODC meeting, you will give us a report that says
Yeah.
these were the projects that met the requirements that David or whomever has signed off on,
right,
and these amounts, and they'll show up on our payment, on our,
Yes.
yes.
So there'll be 2 places for you to double check that.
So here's what I would ask you to do between Norma and you, make sure that our minutes reflect accurately what the process is going forward.
Okay. Yes,
We've
sir.
all, that's what we're operating under that impression. That's what's gonna happen. All right, and I think we concluded that we've already taken care of item number 9. Number 10, consider resolution affirming project compliance, approving the payment for ICA development.
Same situation?
that's the same
Right.
Yes.
situation, right?
We're good.
Yes, they've
Okay.
met all of
Okay.
their requirements and it is, yes, we
You've-
can pay that.
It's been inspected. and-
Yes, it's been inspected, has the
All right.
same inspection verification.
Perfect. All right, thank you, Kaylee.
You're welcome.
Next item on the agenda, upcoming dates. I wanna, and we're talking about the Thursday, January 8th, if everybody would take a look at their calendars and make sure, and if you can't do that right now, that you would do that as soon as you can the next several days.
Might depend on which college teams get further in the playoffs.
That's true.
Isn't that right, John? He
The,
didn't hear me.
yeah, he didn't. So the other thing is that you got some notice from Norma regarding a special meeting that we want to hold. There's been a little bit of a twist in the tiny footprints. I'm not at liberty, I can't talk about it because it's not an agenda item at this point. But we want to address it, and we can do it real quickly. It's not a major item, but we do need to take formal action on it to make sure that gets handled. And so if you haven't been able to respond to Norma, if you would, we need a quorum, and we're trying to get it done sometime next Thursday.
Thursday, and because I have to post tomorrow.
Right.
It must be posted tomorrow. So if
It'll
y'all
be
could please
like, I know I've said this before, but it should be a very short meeting. There'll be,
We
it's a
don't
1 hour.
believe you.
To it.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be at 7 a.m.
No, it won't be. So if everybody will respond to make sure that we have a quorum next Thursday. Let's see, I think that concludes it. We're gonna go into executive session. So as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Section 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations, the ODC Board may adjourn to executive session to discuss the following projects: Project Blizzard King, Project Adam. And I would entertain a motion to go into executive session based on that.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. So we will go into executive. Uh-oh,
Ms. Dean has a presentation.
this can't be good.
Well, because if we wait till after executive session, these people will all be gone.
I thought you wanted me to sign some checks or something, or some payment requests.
We do.
And I was prepared to do that. Whoop.
As you all know, this is David's last meeting.
Well, unless we meet next Thursday.
Unless next Thursday. Maybe I should hold this plaque until next Thursday. It's almost his last meeting, and I know that I speak for all of us when I say what a wonderful leader you've been, and that, you know, we have, those of us that have gotten to work for you a year now, there's a few of us that have worked with you for a year, have learned so much about how this works, and we've got new people, and your time it's been tireless, and I don't even begin to know how many meetings that you have had on the side, having to take care of things. So we thank you for that. We thank you for your service, and I know you have a lot of these, but this one says, presented to David Boutan in appreciation for outstanding leadership and contribution in economic development for our community and citizens. Odessa Development Corporation, September 2019 through December 2025.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Well, it's been fun. Well, most of it's been fun. This is one of the most rewarding things I think I've ever done. So thank you very much, and I appreciate confidence that y'all have had in me to lead, and we've done a lot of good work. We've got a great team, for sure. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thanks, David. Okay.
All right, so
Now we can
we need somebody to let us in over here. somebody to make a motion for us to go back in session?
I move we go have executive session.
Motion and second, and no action taken.
No action.
And there being no further business, I'll entertain motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And motion is second. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passed.